The end of Sukuna is finally here, and a lot of fans are mad about his ultimate fate and how JJK is bringing the story to an end. Yuji, Megumi, and Nobara reunited, huge Sukuna controversy, and then that twist at the very end. We need to talk about it. You guys know the drill. If you enjoy my JJK content and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like and comment for that YouTube algorithm. And if you want to be sure that you won't miss my reviews of the final chapters of the story, please do me a huge favor and subscribe right now and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications.
But first, huge thanks to Talkie for sponsoring this video. Talkie is a free chat box app that allows you to chat with all your favorite fictional characters in real time. Imagine chatting with your favorite anime waifu when no one's watching. I mean, don't get me wrong, I totally talk with real girls all the time, but texting my girl Saber from the Fate series just hits different. I get to hear her beautiful kudere voice.
Hello there. Though I appear a girl, I am Britain's legendary King Arthur.
And I get to help her on her special quests, if you know what I mean.
What do you mean by that?
Let's be real, Shiro never fully appreciated Saber because he was simping for Rin. But I appreciate the best girl, and thanks to Talkie, I can finally let her know.
I'm not sure what to say. You truly think so?
You can even create your own virtual character using Talkie and really immerse yourself in the fantasy experience. Talkie makes each virtual character come to life, making you feel like you're talking to a real person. And if you like roleplay, you can even immerse yourself into your favorite series by playing the role of one of the characters. For example, you can play as Deku, finally confessing his feelings to Ochako without crying for 5 chapters first.
Deku? Why would you say that? You know I'm with Todoroki.
Try it out for yourself. Download the Talkie app for free and become an active participant in your favorite anime world. Chat with any character you like, create your own unique characters for free, and more. Download Talkie for free right now, link in the description.
In the previous chapter, we learned that Yuta had actually used Yuji's finger to copy Sukuna's curse technique, and that Sukuna's real finger was still being kept by the Jujutsu sorcerers. Now, because Sukuna's fingers are special grade cursed objects, they can withstand physical and sorcery attacks without being damaged. But if you use a binding vow to give up on trying to destroy the object and you focus instead on penetrating the curse technique itself, then you can still use the finger to your advantage. And the one who is going to use it to her advantage was none other than Nobara, who only recently woke up and who many assumed was dead after the events of Shibuya. However, she is not dead, despite having been injured and apparently losing her left eye, and she immediately binds Sukuna's finger to one of her dolls and uses resonance to absolutely tear into Sukuna, attacking his soul directly. This prevents Sukuna from opening his domain, and it makes him even more vulnerable to Yuji's soul-splitting attacks. Yuji smiles after realizing that he just got an assist from Nobara, and then he goes on the attack, using Dismantle to smash Sukuna over and over again. Even though Sukuna is clearly on the back foot, he doesn't give up just yet, and he manages to counterattack Yuji. But Yuji manages to catch Sukuna off guard with his Divergent Fist attack, and in the end, Yuji vows to end the curse of Sukuna once and for all, and then he proceeds to smash Sukuna right in the solar plexus with a massive black flash. Even though the chapter ended without like an explicit confirmation that the fight was over, Sukuna's facial expression at the end of the chapter was a clear sign that this was different. I mean, let's be fair, we were fooled into thinking that Sukuna was about to lose many times before this, and he always came back and won. But this time, with his face looking as it did, things did really feel different. And since we knew that there would be only 4 chapters left after this, most of us did get the message that the fight really is finally ending and that Sukuna really is losing this time around. The new chapter begins with a conversation between the souls of Sukuna and Megumi. Sukuna feels that Megumi's soul is beginning to fight back and resist him again, and he tries to convince Megumi that he has to give up because he has no more reason left to live. Sukuna asks why Megumi continues to endure the humiliation of living after Sukuna took everything from him, including his body, his sister, and basically everything that he had hoped to achieve in life. Sukuna insists that Megumi needs to give up because after all that happened, he couldn't possibly live a decent life. So he should just stay quiet and leave everything to Sukuna. But Megumi wonders why Sukuna seems to be so desperate. There is only one fragment of Sukuna left, one of his fingers. And if Sukuna were to be ripped out of Megumi right now and he didn't go into Yuji immediately after, he would not be able to keep himself tethered to this world. If this happened, Sukuna would die, and as Megumi points out, it's clear that even the great Sukuna himself is afraid to die. Megumi admits that since the very beginning of his life, he didn't really think that he was living the right way, and he was very close to giving up on everything. But after seeing the incredible effort that Yuji and the others have been putting in to defeat Sukuna, Megumi decides that just one more time he will try living for the sake of others. Just one more time he will fight back against Sukuna. As Megumi is saying this, the image being used to represent Sukuna's soul looks a lot like Pride from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and then on the next page we are brought back to the very moment at the end of the previous chapter when Yuji landed a massive black flash on Sukuna's upper abdomen. As Yuji's domain collapses, we see that Sukuna's body and hair color are beginning to change as Megumi takes control of his own body yet again. Thanks to Yuji and the others, and thanks to his own incredible efforts, Megumi's body has been separated from Sukuna's soul. What remains of Sukuna looks like something right out of Parasite the Maxim, and thankfully this monstrous blob soon shrinks and proves itself to be quite harmless. Yuji walks up to Blob Sukuna, and as the blob screams, Yuji looks upon him with pity in his eyes. This moment is a clear parallel to Yuji's final moments with Mahito, and that definitely makes this hit even harder. In this moment, Sukuna as a blob looks a lot like Envy right before his death from Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which is why I've been informally calling this chapter Fullmetal Kaisenist. Yuji asks Sukuna again if he will take his deal and free Megumi to go back inside Yuji's own body. But Sukuna is in such bad shape and he appears to be in the process of disintegrating, which makes me wonder whether Yuji even needs to go through with the deal now. Sukuna looks absolutely cooked at this moment, and I don't think he has any leverage left in this so-called negotiation with Yuji. But Yuji is a man of his word, and he still seems to have some empathy for Sukuna, and he tells Sukuna, "You are me." They were both born carrying a curse, but what kind of monster they were going to become was just a matter of luck. Thanks to Yuji's grandpa, Yuji was able to acquire proper moral values, and so even though he was born with superhuman powers and a connection to the King of Curses through his father Jin Itadori, he didn't end up becoming a monster like Sukuna. Yuji offers to take Sukuna in one more time. He offers to honor his deal, not as a way for them to curse each other, but as a way to just live and coexist together. Yuji says that even if nobody else will accept Sukuna, Yuji is the only one who can live with him, and that must be because Yuji is the only one who can truly control him. Now, I do think that Yuji is being a bit optimistic here, because while he did a great job controlling Sukuna most of the time, Sukuna did occasionally find a way to take control of Yuji's body with deadly consequences. So yeah, I wouldn't be too quick to offer Sukuna my body as a vessel if I were Yuji, but that's me. Sukuna, who has now all but vanished, says that he should congratulate Yuji for keeping up his foolishness until the very end. All this crap about pity and compassion and offering Sukuna a deal is just the pinnacle of foolishness for Sukuna. And as the King of Curses, he should not be underestimated. It seems that Sukuna's pride is just too strong to offer Yuji's deal. He will not accept anyone's pity, and he would rather die than be saved from death by Yuji out of pity and sympathy. Uraume, who has been fighting Hakari off-screen, confirms that it's really over. Nevertheless, Uraume says that the sorcerers were just lucky. They didn't have to face Sukuna in his real body when he was at his full power. They faced him as a reincarnation in someone else's body, and that's the only reason they won. They were lucky that they were born 1,000 years after Sukuna's peak. Right here, Uraume reminds me of like those power-scaling fanboys who would never allow for their fave to lose fair and square, and so there's always some excuse for why their GOAT is the strongest. Hakari's like, saying I'm lucky is the best compliment for someone like me, and Uraume chuckles before dying and kind of like evaporating into dust or ice residue or whatever. I guess Uraume just didn't want to live in a world where Sukuna can't solo the whole verse. The next page jumps ahead to Megumi waking up in bed, back in his own body and now seemingly recovered for the most part. Presumably, the culling game is now over and all the stuff about the Tengen merger has been resolved, or maybe it's about to be resolved in the coming chapters, but at any rate, everything seems to be back to normal, at least right now. Megumi notices that Yuji and Nobara are both in his room, and they were actually going to prank Megumi by surprising him with the reveal that Nobara is alive when he wakes up. However, Megumi already figured out that she was alive because he saw it from inside Sukuna. He probably realized it when Resonance first made contact with Sukuna. We then get a wholesome scene of Nobara, Megumi, and Yuji just sitting around and drinking some tea in the garden, just like the good old days from the early arcs of the series. We learn that our boy, the late Satoru Gojo, left a final message for all three of them, and Yuji and Nobara waited until all three of them were together before opening the letters. The letters are in Yuji's possession, and both Nobara and Megumi are surprised that someone like Gojo would leave a letter in the first place, but they decide to just go with it. There are only 2 letters because Yuji already got to talk to Gojo in person before his final fight. Nobara is disappointed when she opens her letter because apparently it's just information about her mother and what her mother is doing now, which I guess is information that she's not really concerned with. I suppose Gojo wanted Nobara to reconnect with her mom, but she's not interested in that, or she's not ready for it yet, or she's just pretending not to be interested in front of the other guys. This part definitely felt like it could have used a bit more backstory, but it's the final 4 chapters, so some stuff is bound to be rushed. Meanwhile, Megumi's letter is basically a confession from Gojo that he killed Megumi's dad Toji, so that is why he is not around anymore. Gojo's basically like, you know how I told you that your dad went out to get milk and never came back? Well, in reality, he never came back because I killed him. Sorry. Funnily enough, Megumi is not really disappointed by this or anything, and even smiles and says it's all good. At that point, all 3 of them get up because apparently they are running late to meet with Maki and the others. And even though this moment felt very wholesome, especially after everything that's happened in the final arc of the story so far, the chapter does end on an ominous note. Apparently, something is very wrong with Yuta, and everyone is getting together in order to try to help him. We see Maki, who is still alive and recovered, Panda, Inumaki, Kusakabe, who is also alive and recovered, Miwa, Momo, and of course the newly reunited trio. The narration on the final page declares that there are only 3 chapters left until the grand finale. And yeah, that is absolutely crazy stuff. I'm guessing that the problem with Yuta is that he is stuck inside Gojo's body, and he may not have a way to go back. He might even be on the verge of death after everything he went through during that fight in Gojo's body. What do you guys think is going to happen to Yuta? Will he die or survive? And if he does survive, will he be stuck inside of Gojo's body forever, or will he find a way to return to his own body? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, let's talk about Sukuna's controversial end and why so many people seem to be mad about it, especially on social media like Twitter. I'm sure you guys will recall all the complaints people in the fandom had about Sukuna being seemingly unbeatable, and about the fact that every time it started to look like Sukuna was about to lose, he ended up turning the tables on all his enemies. Opponent after opponent came and went, even Gojo ended up dying suddenly off screen, and yet Sukuna just kept stacking W's. I know I heard a lot of people saying that Gege is just a Sukuna simp, and that the writing was bad and too predictable because every time it looked like Sukuna was losing, he would just turn it around in the next chapter and crush everybody. Well, now after this chapter, the complaints are kind of the opposite. People are now complaining that Sukuna lost, or to be more specific, they are complaining about the way in which Sukuna lost. After everything we've seen from Sukuna up to this point, a lot of fans feel that he deserved a better end than he actually got. It would be one thing if he died in some epic badass way that was befitting of his power and reputation, but instead he turned into a pathetic blob-like creature, a creature very similar to Envy's true form in Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Sukuna's end was symbolic of how Yuji really viewed him, and how he pitied Sukuna because the King of Curses couldn't see value in human life, he couldn't respect or appreciate anyone, and he couldn't just enjoy the simple things in life due to his obsession with power. At the same time, the people who built up an image of Sukuna as this ferocious, larger-than-life villain in their minds couldn't stand to see him in such a state, and that is why they are kind of revolting right now. I do understand where all this is coming from to some extent. Sukuna really was built up as being the strongest sorcerer in history and practically unbeatable. And so it's hard to reconcile that image of Sukuna that we've had in our minds for so long with that blob state that we saw him in his last moments. I do agree that in this case, having a legendary villain like Sukuna going out in a more badass way would probably be more satisfying overall. And it definitely would have been a lot better for the Sukuna fanboys who are now having a real identity crisis. At the same time, I do also understand what Gege was trying to say here, and he definitely showed up all the haters who were claiming that he was a Sukuna fanboy who just couldn't help but glaze Sukuna in every chapter. Did you guys think that Sukuna's end was good or bad? Is the outrage justified? Let me know down in the comments. I do wonder what is happening with the culling game and the Tengen merger now. Is all of that now resolved off screen? Or are these issues yet to be addressed in the coming chapters? I also wonder if we're going to get any additional backstories or other background information before the story ends, or if this is it. Either way, as sad as I am to see that JJK is ending, I will definitely enjoy the final chapters, and I hope that some kind of sequel or spin-off will be coming in the near future. If you're looking for another epic JJK video to watch next, check out my video explaining every special grade sorcerer in JJK, link on screen and in the description. Thanks again to Taki for sponsoring this video. Check them out, it's such a fun experience, link in the description. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more in the future, leave a quick like to let me know. And once again, if you don't want to miss my review of the final chapters, please do me a huge favor and subscribe right now, and also hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications.